Okay, folks, let's come back together because we want to be able to get out on time. You're the second person to ask me that. I'm gonna fess up now.
Okay.
I should have said that.
Well, I can tell. I'm New Yorker, one New Yorker.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't really have a New York accent. It wasn't until we moved to New Jersey, and we lived there for 25 years, and I think it's New Jersey that did it.
But
I shouldn't even.
A's.
My A's? Yeah, water, and yeah.
You never let the inmates loose.
No, I know. You can't get them back. It's like herding cats. Okay, so let's get started because I know we want to try to keep to our schedule. Hi, Dean. 8:30. Maybe a little earlier if I can get them together. Yeah. Okay, let's come back together. As you're making your way back to your seat, I want to say that I meant to tell you that I do have the Sowing Seeds books with me tonight. They're $15, and I take all sorts of payment. So if you want them, they're here. And I also have the CD for season 1. $13, no shipping, no handling, none of that. So 13, yeah. Okay, so successful facilitation. Successful facilitation. When you watch the webinar, I know that you will, it goes over in great detail about what you need to do before your first meeting, during a meeting, and after a meeting. So for tonight's purposes being together, I'm really going to focus on what we're doing with different personalities. Okay? So I do really hope that you will take a look at that webinar because that's going to help you. So what we're going to do now is to look at the next handout that you have, small community personalities. It's this one. I think yours is black and white, but it starts on top with shy, timid. Excuse me. So we've got these 5 personality types: shy, timid, dominator, skeptic, and on the other side, interrupter and intellectual. Okay? So these are all different types of personalities that, may make your job, a little bit challenging at times in terms of keeping your meeting on track, and then also just in terms of drawing people into the group. So we're going to go over each of those personalities. We're actually going to do that in the form of role play. But before we do that, I want to tell you a method that I'd like you to use and try to apply to this. On the back side of this, at the bottom left, AARR. It's in the Sowing Seeds book, pages 17 and 18, and but we're going to do this in detail now. So it's acknowledge what's been said, affirm the person, redirect the conversation, refocus the question. If you use that methodology, you'll be surprised. It really can apply to, except for the shy and timid, that's a little bit different, but with the others, it can really be helpful. So I think what I'm going to do is to give you an example. I'll just do an example now. But as a facilitator, you see at the bottom, it says activity. As a facilitator of a small group, what would you say to the person? Come up with multiple ways to say the same thing. And so on the lines that are on the side, when I break you into groups, I'm going to ask you to work on this. Each of the boxes tells you a little bit about each personality, what you might see as a manifestation of that personality, or what you might hear. And then I want you to ask those questions. What, as a facilitator, would you say to that person, either in the group at the time, depending on what the situation is, or afterwards, if it needs to be afterwards. So an example might be, okay, so you're having your conversation, and not that you would do this, Kim. But somehow somebody's talking about the recent parish festival or something, and Kim brought some chocolate cake or whatever. Oh, I saw Kim, you brought that chocolate cake, and all of a sudden now, can I get that recipe? And off the subject. So affirm that cake, Kim. Mention her name, Kim. That cake looks incredible. So you've affirmed her. acknowledged her, affirmed what she did with that chocolate cake. That recipe, we probably all would love to have that recipe. But, why don't let's talk about that at the break, and now, but you have to redirect it. We were talking about blah, blah, that question in the scripture. And specifically then, very refocused, question number 2. Or Dan, what did you say before about something like that? So you see, but you have to affirm her and acknowledge what's happening and then try to redirect the conversation. So acknowledge, affirm, redirect, refocus, AARR. And it really can work. You can get it down to like 3 sentences. You'd be surprised. But I think it's good to practice this kind of thing. So AARR, okay? Is there a question?
I've got a question.
Yes.
One of my pet peeves, absolutely, is when someone tells me or asks me, why don't you such and such? And I kind of interpret that as either I have to justify a reason of why I'm not doing the way that they want to, or is that another way that they're suggesting that I should do? So if you were to say to Kim, why don't we move the conversation back to such and such? Sometimes that sounds to me almost condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we have a better way of doing something? Because then that just provokes another response, because she wouldn't want to argue why her chocolate cake is so good. Why don't we have more chocolate cake?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, do you have another way or a statement that we could redirect that conversation without using a why don't we type of thing?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well,
Because then we're speaking in third person.
yeah,
And we're trying to keep that in first person.
Or how about if we?
yeah.
That's kind of,
Or let's look at,
yeah.
let's look at. That's another way to do it. Well, why don't we do it now as in small groups? And then this will be great, because you're going to find that you're going to come up with some answers, and that's what this is about tonight. How can we better facilitate a group, and what are some of the things we can really have some practical tool tonight to do that. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tables. 1, 2, 3. Now we've got math again. Oh my goodness. 5 of these. So I think if we say that, boy, we're going to have lots of shy people. All right, so these 2 tables will be the shy and timid. Shy, timid. I know you're not shy and timid. Don't look at me like that. But that's actually going to make it harder maybe for him to deal with the shy and timid, yeah? Shy and timid. Okay, so we got those 2 tables, shy and timid. Dominators. You don't look like dominators. These 2 tables are the dominators. Dominators. These 2. Dominator. Skeptics. You don't look like skeptics, but you're skeptics for tonight. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? That's good. I like that. Skeptics. Skeptics also, yeah. Interrupters and interrupters. Interrupters? Yeah. Interrupters. Okay, what do you want to be? Because you have a choice. You want to be an interrupter? Okay, go ahead, interrupter. The 3 of you are interrupters. Okay, well, you want to go back to shy and timid? No? No problem? Shy, intellectual. There you are, the intellectuals. Intellectuals. You're all looking very intellectual. Okay, so what? Intellectuals, go for it. Okay. You have a choice. What do you want to be?
Have a choice?
Sure.
We have a choice.
Yeah.
Interrupter.
Interrupters, go for it. Interrupters. Okay, so everybody has what they're going to do. Going to give you about 10 minutes. Just one more thing, please, because we don't want to take anybody by surprise. I'm going to ask for one person, and we're not going to be able to take, from everybody, but we're going to take at least 1 or 2 examples from each type of personality. So have a spokesperson ready from your little group that's willing to share a couple of AARR that you came up with, or some things that you can say to this person. Okay? 10 minutes.